This week 2 matchup against the Denver Broncos for Davis Mills is going to show us what we have in him or not. I am very excited going against this Denver Broncos D because it is very good. There are stars all over the field. So shout out to the Denver Broncos defense. Our Houston Texans are going into the Mile High Stadium tomorrow at 3 o'clock and trying to steal a game just like which they almost did last week against the Indianapolis Colts. The Denver Broncos are coming in mad after the botch by head coach Nathaniel Hackett and taking the ball out of danger Russell Wilson's hands and putting it in Brandon McManus, and he obviously missed. They are trying to make a statement game against the Houston Texans. This is their home opener. It is going to be very loud, and it's going to be a fun game and a game where if Davis Mills, if this Houston Texans offense goes out there and is successful and puts this Denver defense in some tough situations, then it's going to give me some confidence going forward for the rest of the season. These are two great teams that the Houston Texans just played, the Indianapolis Colts, and now being the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, I think, even though they have a very good pass rush that consists of Bradley Chubb, who had 2 sacks last week, I think their strength is their secondary. Patrick Surtain and Ronald Darby. Last week, Surtain was going against DK Metcalf. He allowed 6 catches, but under 50 yards, was absolutely having a great day against them. He is going to be blanketing Brandon Cook. This is going to be a very fun matchup. A highly underrated NFL veteran in Brandon Cooks going against young stud cornerback Surtain. That is going to be an interesting matchup in itself. That's why one of my key players for tomorrow's game is Nico Collins, who didn't show out last week. We are expecting a big year 2 out of this guy. There are 16 games left. However, there's already the face of Nico Collins on the milk carton after the disappearance he had last week. We need him to have a good game. That also has to deal with the offensive coordinator, right? We need to share targets. Brandon Cooks was targeted 12 times last week. The next closest was Rex Burkhead. I don't expect that to happen. I do expect to see us take some shots with Nico Collins. He is a 6'4" guy with 4.4 speed. You need to take advantage of his physical, attributes because honestly, like we saw in the preseason, there were some times on those deep balls where he was getting the pass interference call against them. That is something that is going to help the offense, as this game goes on, as the season goes on. I am expecting a big game coming out of Nico Collins. The Broncos also have badass safety Justin Simmons back there. So it is going to be very encouraging if Davis Mills is able to move this offense against this Denver D. But not only that, I think a huge role is the offensive line. No Justin Britt. He hasn't practiced in the last couple days. I do expect him to retire. Quisenberry is getting the start at center. Morrissey, I think, is also being caught up. He had a few good games last year with Davis Mills under center. But Justin Britt is not a huge loss for me. He played so damn bad. I could have been center out there for the Houston Texans and did a little bit more better. The offensive line is going to be huge to me because this Denver front 7 is good. Their linebacking core is good. Their secondary is good. It is going to be a very tough day for this offense. And if they are going to get successful and want to score against them, it's going to be with the offensive line and rookie Dameon Pierce. I am not expecting to see a 70% workload of Rex Burkhead. I think Dameon Pierce, they're going to want to make a statement and say we are a running football team and a successful running football team. Titus Howard just said today that we trust Pierce and we are excited, to block for him and we trust him to make the right reads. I am excited to see a heavy dose of Dameon Pierce. This is someone who we are hyped about. Even though he is the starting running back, he wasn't last week. This is going to be the official debut of number 31 against this Denver Broncos defense. And I am excited about it. Because when you're able to run the ball, you're able to open up the pass. And after a very good game last week, I want to see more of number 83, OJ Howard. 2 touchdowns, 2 catches. He's already the best tight end. Doesn't even know the playbook. But as the season goes on, I do expect number 83 and 10 to get a good connection going. Switching over to the defensive side of the ball, this Broncos offense, I think, is very fun to watch. And it starts with the guy they just traded for, Russell Wilson. They have two very talented running backs, a pass-catching one, and then Melvin Gordon, who could just run up the hole. But the other one being Javonte Williams, who was targeted 11 times last week. If you saw, the Houston Texans, number 51, Carmer Grugier-Hill, he was targeted 14 times himself. So this linebacking matchup, right? Lovie Smith is going to have to bring some new stuff out of the hats because these veterans did not do well in coverage last week. There is no Christian Harris. I want to see more of Neville Hewitt. I don't know if Garrett Wallow is healthy yet, but we need him back as well because nowadays these running backs are able to just run any route under the sun and could just make people miss. They have other weapons as well. Gerald Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, two very good wide receivers. Both had 70-plus yards last week. Gerald Jeudy had over 100 with the tutty. He is going to get the matchup with Derek Stingley. Even though Sutton is the 6'4" guy, I think Gerald Jeudy is the better wide receiver. One of the best wide receivers in the NFL, honestly. One of the best route runners. It is going to be interesting matchup because this is a very young, promising wide receiver against the number 3 overall pick. We are going to see exactly what we have in Derek Stingley. We are throwing him into the fire. Last week, he went against Michael Pittman, and this week he's going to go against Gerald Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. And also, Cortland Sutton is going to be going against Steven Nelson. Steven Nelson, I think, had a very good game last week, guys. Was able to knock the ball out, at the back of the end zone to save a touchdown. The secondary is going to have its work, right? These are good wide receivers. Russell Wilson scrambles. He's able to throw people open. It is going to be a fun game from the secondary, right? But a game where I feel comfortable that my secondary will bend, don't break. And I haven't felt that way in a while, right? You talk about other safeties. Jalen Petrie, this dude was all over the field last week. When he was in coverage, was only targeted one time. I think those missed tackles are going to be, cleaned up. He was absolutely all over the field, and I think he's going to make a statement. Hopefully, that bounce back after the dropped interception that could have won the game for the Houston Texans, but that's another topic for another day. The defensive line, to me, might win, right? Russell Wilson was, I think, sacked twice last week and hit 8 times. We need to see Jonathan Grenard have a day. Yes, it was very good to see Jerry Hughes have those 2 sacks and that interception, but how much longer are we going to see that from a guy who's been in the year for 18 years? We need to see young, promising Jonathan Grenard take majority of the role, take majority of the sacks, and just dominate like we know he can. We didn't really see him in preseason, so hopefully getting into week 2 is going to be more ramped up. He did have that good tackle for loss, at the goal line stand with Naheem Hines at the wildcat position. But Jonathan Grenard is one for me too. He needs to step up. He needs to ball out. And then if he balls out, I have no doubt that the other pass rushers, Jerry Hughes, hopefully we see some Rasheem Green. I don't think we see Mario Addison. They get involved because we know that Lovie Smith loves to rotate these edge rushers. Man, this is going to be a fun game. A game where no one expects the Houston Texans to win. But can you imagine if we go out there and shock the world like what we did last week? No one expected us to be in that situation. I think the Houston Texans might have a good day. This is a very good team, them being the Denver Broncos, and it is another good test for this young Houston Texans squad. You guys let me know. As always, go Texans. You guys have a very blessed day.